Welcome back to the Pharmaverse podcast. I'm your host, Michael Petrak, engaging leaders from the pharma universe. The Pharmaverse podcast is powered by K. Bassman International, your one-source recruiting solution in the pharma and biotech arena. Today's guest on the Pharmaverse is Claudio Pasquinelli, MD. Claudio is the former vice president of clinical science at Takeda's GI franchise, and this is a special edition because Claudio just announced his retirement. But I still thought that we could all tap into his wisdom that he's gained over a 25-year career in the pharmaceutical industry and many more years of treating patients. Claudio, welcome to the Pharmaverse podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I've watched some of the videos you produced. They're very interesting, gamut of people and the feedback provided. So looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Let's dive right in. So Claudio, tell us a little bit about how the retirement went. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. I think it's a question that all of us have to factor in at some point. I think we all have to leave this planet one day or the other. And no matter how active you feel or strong you feel, at some point approaching a certain number, a number, whatever it is in your head, it makes sense to consider other opportunities and also leave space for younger generation to take your place. Officially, I am retired, or as I'm saying, in sabbatical, because I'm, no matter what recruiters are calling, I'm exploring other options, but I am officially retired since June 6th. So it's been a little bit over 2 weeks.
Tell us a little bit what you can about the work that you were doing at Takeda.
So I joined, the GI therapeutic area at Takeda in 2019, which in retrospective, that meant 7 months or so before COVID.
Yeah, right.
And of course, it was a very different, outcome because, at the time, there was not so much working on a hybrid model. I mean, hybrid meant that, everybody was more or less in Monday or Thursday with a long weekend where it would be coming home, and of course, Takeda being what it is, with a very generous and kind culture, I think people were relatively free to work from home for a limited period of time if there was a specific need that was best achieved in the private or the silence of your home.
Let's transition because the Pharmaverse podcast is a leadership podcast. And in your announcement about your retirement, I caught that you thanked both those that mentored you and those that you mentored, your mentees. So I know you're a big believer in the power of mentoring.
Yes.
Tell us your philosophy on mentoring others.
If you really mean what you say, that you want people to succeed, there are some general fundamental principles that need to be taught and carried over, generation from generation. You can have the best technical background in the world, but if you come from academic medicine, seeing patients, maybe having a little bit of lab of your own and going into the clinic, it is very different.
What advice would you give to me or to other leaders who are managing teams that are multi-generational?
I think different generations need to find different, different roles. There is in my mentoring themes, I tend to divide the groups in, fictional year, less than 35 to 55 and over, and not to go into the details of there, but the up to 35, I think the main message is experiment. Find your voice, find what interests you. It's perfectly okay to have a wrong turn. You can always make a U-turn. You can restart. You have many years ahead of you. I mean, of course, if these people shouldn't have the goal of making it so big that they retire at 39, that's a different paradigm.
Right.
I will not touch here. So I would say that the up to 35 is really open your eyes, expose yourself, be a sponge, talk to as many people as possible, even if it doesn't come natural to you. Maybe if you feel some fear in talking to big people who are very busy, and they are, but they should also I don't think I ever told anybody ever in my life that I cannot talk to you because I'm too busy.
Oh, right. Yeah, no.
That's not of everybody. Some people use timing as an excuse to put it away. And then you have the middle group, 35 to 50, 55. I think this is where probably the bulk of your career resides. This is when you really have seen around, you've chosen a path. There's still opportunity to move, but I think this is the time where you should really know enough to find a sweet spot between what you like to do, what you want to do, and what society rewards, and the overlap of these three circles are where ideally you should position, because then you have seen enough, like, I am horrible in drawing, if I wanted to be a painter in my life, or an artist, I know that might be what I like to do, that's maybe what society rewards, but I have absolutely no skills, That's easy, I can do it, sure, but if I do it, I need to be prepared for a life of poverty and struggle, And then for the 55 and over, I would say the main issue is the one to still feel relevant, you don't want to see as someone who is remaining attached to things of the past. You need to keep up with technology. You need to keep up with you need to really embrace this lifelong student that's in you, and you really need to take advantage of the young one, because I think that I have gained so much knowledge interacting with the 20-something, and because they bring sometimes, they can bring an attitude, but it's okay. It's fine. It's good. We all probably had attitudes when we were in those ages. Maybe in those days, nobody would tell us. So right now, maybe you're already in a worse situation, so people are telling you. That's that's relevant, And that's why, I always thought that the end of the career would not so much be driven by a predetermined number or of course, how much money you have in the bank is important to drive whether or not you can afford. But again, I think that your gut is telling you, I'm very much with Steve Jobs in this, at some point, you might feel nothing has changed, but your energy level is a little bit down, And the energy level could be energy level also on having to deal with the day-to-day corporate headaches.
The passion could just be gone too.
Or the passion could be gone, or the idea of waking up early for an early morning meeting where maybe you are not so much relevant is not appealing to you, or maybe going to a meeting you have attended for 20 years in Europe doesn't feel appealing so much. You would rather, stay home with your family, and why do you have to travel 8 hours jet lag and go to all of this, So that's a little bit.
That's a great breakdown. That's a great breakdown.
And I think that in general terms, this actually works, because I think if we are in the field of medicine and science, that should be interesting. And I think that listening to yourself is probably not a bad things.
That's good.
But you also need to be taught how to do it a little bit.
Now, just picking between the lines there, it sounds like making time for your team is an important leadership quality that worked for you. Would you say that's true?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So would you have like regular check-ins with these folks, or what was your cadence there?
I, at the end, when I had a very big group, I think I made myself available at least half an hour once a month with everybody. And maybe my direct reports half an hour every 2 weeks. The difference, however, was that with my direct reports, I would talk about data and progress because that was needed. With everybody else, my intent was all really completely talking about different aspects of the how, meaning, elements they would bring to me or things I would bring to them from our business review or other area, because they had their own manager. So if we're talking about clinical research, it was not my business to know about, how many patients were enrolled in the trial. They shouldn't waste their time to tell me when they already told to their manager, And make time for them. At some point, we also try to have group people mentoring together. This has the obvious advantage: you can get more people at the same time. Some folks are more reluctant, even. We are among peers, we are among equals, but if they really want to bring, personal stuff or issue, they might feel more reluctant in opening up in a group setting. So you need to know, what you're dealing with, and you need to realize that some people might still need or prefer the one-on-one interaction, and then of course there are the ad hoc time, and unfortunately right now the ad hoc time it's very different in a hybrid setting. I think all companies are now trying to ask themselves and redefine what does work mean. Everybody's trying with different level of scrutiny, X number of days a month, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. We know that if we have to judge from the world around us, the world around us seems to be going towards life in the office.
Yep.
Certainly the government has gone this way, this government. We know that big financial companies seem to be going, that way.
Yep.
Pharma has been, I guess, reluctant because obviously everybody has hired people hours and hours of flight away from the headquarters, So changing overnight, saying, we'll give you 6 months, but by January 1st, we have to be like pre-COVID. So everybody's expected to be in the office Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is a free game. And then, of course, the company will have to, I think, decide before making this choice, how am I going to handle all those requests? Am I going to accommodate? So it's going to be a mixture of hybrid and non-hybrid or not. But, that's a very tough that's a very tough choice, I mean, it's COVID has changed the world. For whether we like it or not, COVID has changed the world, and even some people who were very much aficionados of everybody in the office, they certainly changed their mind because they saw that work can be done in remote settings, But I also understand that there are incredible pressure from industry and society in general, because certainly these office building empty, they also carry a negative influx of all the surrounding activities, coffee place, eateries, lunch place.
Mm-hmm.
There is the whole bunch of economy that moves around this decision. So it's not exclusively a 100% decision given by Takeda or
I hadn't thought about that.
Areas.
That's a really good point. It affects even the businesses around the office and the whole thing.
Sure.
Well, Claudio, on behalf of everyone in the Pharmaverse, I just got to thank you so much for your time and these insights. The mentoring insights have been really impactful. And, if this is retirement, if it's not, I do want to thank you for all the impact that you've made, not only on the industry, but also to patients.
For now, it's sabbatical. I started yesterday. I decided yesterday I will call this sabbatical, and we'll see where this goes in a couple of months or so.
Well, enjoy the sabbatical. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Pharmaverse. I really enjoyed it.
Bye.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Pharmaverse podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any leadership insights. And again, thanks for tuning in.